Hello everyone and welcome to the April 2023 edition of our Greater Vancouver Market Update. As always, our goal with these videos is to provide you with unbiased, unspun analysis of the Greater Vancouver housing market. If you find the information useful or even watchable, please give it a like, share it with a friend, and hit that subscribe button down below on YouTube to make sure that you don't miss out on any future episodes. All right, spring is officially in bloom, and so is the real estate market in Greater Vancouver. We are continuing to see a very healthy level of activity out there, and prices trending in an upward direction for the second consecutive month. Does that mean that it's a seller's market again? Well, for that, let's take a closer look at the numbers. Let's start with our March sales figures, where there were 2,535 transactions registered at the Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board, which is a healthy 40.2% jump from February. As I mentioned last month, seeing these types of month-over-month increases is completely normal at this time of year due to the seasonal nature of real estate. We're heading into a spring market. But comparing this figure to last year, those 2,500 plus sales were actually 42.5% lower than what we saw a year ago. Again, last February was basically the final month of the COVID bull market that we experienced for the 24 months prior to that. So this year-over-year gap will begin to shrink drastically over the next few months. And based on the 10-year average for the month of March, last month was 28.4% lower than what we've been used to seeing over the past decade. Next, let's take a look at how listings fared, where the inventory numbers for March came in at 8,617 total listings. And here's the problem again. Just a 9.5% increase from the previous month. A huge discrepancy between the increase in sales and the increase in listings for a second consecutive month. And this is what is causing a little bit of a frenzy out there in the market, even though our sales volume is well below the 10-year historical average, as well as the year-over-year comparison. The sales volume is clearly indicating buyer demand, but listings and new inventory is simply not keeping up. And when this happens, prices start creeping up because there are more buyers than sellers and they are fighting over the good product. And this is reflected in our months of inventory, which dipped solidly below the 4 MOI mark to 3.4 and what is traditionally considered seller's market territory. And prices? They rose by another 1.8%, increasing for the second consecutive month to a benchmark price of $1.14 million. When we look at the benchmark price graph, you can now start to see a pretty healthy boomerang effect taking place and some pretty solid upward trajectory starting to happen. But I have to say, despite the numbers looking encouraging, this market isn't bulletproof, at least not quite yet. So for that, let's get into some anecdotes and a little segment called Boots on the Ground. Whenever somebody finds out that I'm a realtor, guess what the first thing they ask is? So, how's the market? I'm not sure there's another place in the world that's quite as obsessed with real estate as we are here in the Lower Mainland. That and the weather, of course. So lately when I get asked that question, I tend to describe the market as dysfunctionally healthy. Unlike for much of last year, there's a ton of activity, plenty of buyer inquiries, busy open houses, and sales are definitely happening. Product is moving, and prices are starting to creep back up. But it's not everywhere, and you have to be priced very sharply to get a positive result as a seller right now. And here's the thing. Can you call it a healthy market when our sales volume is nearly 30% below the 10-year average, and yet some properties are getting 20 plus offers? To me, this is an indication of a major imbalance between supply and demand. But what's new, Vancouver, am I right? And I've mentioned this over the last few months. Buyers that were rightfully reluctant to purchase last year are now competing with the buyers that would have naturally bought this year. And sellers, well, they don't want to list because they know what their neighbors sold for in late 2021, early 2022, and they know that they can't get those prices right now, at least not yet. From a purely anecdotal perspective, I did feel like maybe things were starting to level off a little bit over the last week or so. I took some very motivated buyers out for what can only be described as an extremely aggressive weekend of condo shopping. We ended up looking at 12 places in one weekend. First of all, finding 12 relatively interesting homes under $600K west of the Fraser caught my attention. The other thing that was interesting to me was that only 2 of them had offer dates. The other 10 were entertaining offers on a first-come, first-served basis. Now, it was Easter weekend, and long weekends are always hit and miss. But it did make me wonder if this was a sign that inventory is slowly starting to catch up to demand. I think that's an extremely small sample size, however, to make that kind of assumption. The other thing that happened this past week was the April rate announcement from the Bank of Canada, during which they held rates at 4.5%. No increase, no decrease. So after 8 consecutive rate hikes, the central bank has now held rates for 2 consecutive policy announcements and flat since January 25th. I think this is definitely adding to consumer confidence, and it's also allowing banks to offer some fairly attractive sub 5% rates on 5-year fixed terms. And remember, the way the stress test works is you need to qualify on your offered rate plus 2%. So this rate competition is allowing for some marginally higher purchase power for buyers. So is this ramp up in activity just a spring blip? Well, my crystal ball is actually just in the shop right now getting some maintenance done on it, so I can't quite answer that question. But if I were a betting man, I would say that we will start to see listings creeping up over the next couple of months. But we really won't know until the fall if what we're experiencing now is the start of another long upward trend. All right, that's it for me for this month. Thank you so much for watching, and I would like to extend a truly sincere thank you to all of you who send DMs, emails, share clips on social media. You know who you are. It is really your support that motivates me to put these videos together, so thank you. And for the rest of you, please like, share with a friend, hit that subscribe button down below on YouTube, and I'll catch you right back here in about a month's time. Have a great spring, everyone.